Hey, you don't want to miss this episode. We spoke specifically to the employers today. We talked about those toxic employees. We talked about what do you do to build trust with your employees and all things that you need to know about scaling and growing your company. You don't want to miss out with me and my co-host, TJ. Tap in.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It, the podcast. I'm your girl, Twana Yvonne, but of course, you can call me TJ, and you already know we're here to sprinkle some HR tips, tricks, and strategies on y'all, whether you are an employee or an employer, right? Small businesses navigating the employee space. We got you. We got some of those commonly asked questions. Welcome back to y'all's favorite HR aunties. Now, before we get started, I have got to introduce my fantabulous co-host, Miss Shatima Gresham. How you doing,
TJ?
Shatima?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Not fantabulous.
I know you are. So she getting used to being fantabulous.
I see.
It is season 2. I cannot believe we have done a year of Let's Talk About It, and y'all have been following along, liking our reels, watching the episodes.
Absolutely.
Can you believe it, Shatima?
It went by quick.
It went by quick. Just a year ago.
Just a year ago. We are 4 studios in.
I mean, 4 studios in, 3 producers.
3 producers,
right?
Lots of changes, but seasoned.
We have grown. And
Absolutely.
so we're really, really excited. We want to kick off this episode and just do something different for season 2, right? We're Leos. We get bored quick. And so if you are part of our audience, you'll never get bored because we don't always kind of spice it up and change it up for y'all. What I want to talk about first and foremost, Shatima, we just did this workshop with Sarah Boyd, who was one of our guests over the summer, about talking about articulating your impact. And it's interesting because a lot of the people that showed up, we spoke from the HR perspective, and they have that HR is not your friend, right? What do you have to say to the people that think and feel like HR ain't your friend, girl, at work?
It's true. It's funny that you said that because on PTMG, we have some branding that's coming out, and it is why do people hate HR? Because as HR professionals, we know no one wants to go into the HR offices and the HR departments.
Yeah.
Often we, go visit our employees in different spaces, and they're like, uh-oh, HR is here. And because a lot of times when we're deployed, it's for that redirection, termination, and things like that. But we know that HR, we are still employees as well.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of the things that employees are upset about or disagree with, we do too. But in our role, we are, selling and making sure that whatever decisions that are made at a higher level are adopted by the employees. But we also have those concerns, and what a lot of times employees don't know, we are in those rooms speaking to those concerns because we're employees as well. Why are we not getting that merit increase? Not giving that bonus is going to impact morale. Movement and changes in policies. We are speaking up on behalf of the employees. And that's the piece that I think sometimes there's a disconnect because even though we're having these conversations behind closed doors, we have to come back and say, okay, there's a policy, a new policy that's in play, and this is how we're going to execute, on it. And so they don't know that we've been in there advocating, sometimes losing the battle, sometimes making minor adjustments. A lot more often, what does come out has been refined because of us. It was probably a little tougher or stricter, and we've refined it a little bit, but I think that's lost in that execution.
We call that influence. So for me, when people say, HR is not your friend, we're not. We are not put in place to be friends with the employees or friends with the executives. That's the piece that I feel like whatever side of the fence you're on, people miss, right? Because if you're an employee, you feel like HR is not your friend. But if you're an executive or a manager or a leader and we're saying, hey, that's not the best approach, they don't think we're their friend either.
It's true.
So oftentimes we really aren't anybody's friend.
Yes.
We really are in place to be neutral, to be compliant, to do what's best. And oftentimes, oftentimes, like Shatima's saying, we're in the rooms advocating what's best for the employee because HR has a very high space in retention, hiring, all of those things to keep employees happy. And so a lot of the things we advocate for is the employees. And so I feel like there is that misconception that we should be your friend because we're advocating for your needs in the workplace. But it is different, right? When I did make friends in the workplace, it didn't turn out well. All right. And so that was one of my taboos, if you will. My friends weren't really coworkers because I never want to be in a place where now I'm investigating a friend, right, because of a work situation. And so oftentimes I do want y'all to understand we're not your friend, but it's not to be negative. It's intended to be neutral. So that's why I felt like, it's important to open up with that.
Right. I love that. I'm like, well, we're trying. You're like, no, we're not your friends.
We're not their friends.
It's true.
We're not. And that doesn't mean when you're challenged with different things in the workplace, we're not going to help you navigate through it. We will.
Absolutely.
But we're doing that from a very neutral place, right?
Yeah.
When you tell us your challenges, we aren't friends with the managers. Yes, we have an onus to support them as well, but we do that and navigate that from a place where we're trying to help you, but we're still neutral. So I think it's a great way to open Season 2. Episode 1. HR superheroes. Right. We're not your friend at work. But the beauty in it is here in the podcast space, we're going to give you tips and tricks and help you navigate the workplace. And so I want to kick off this new segment, which is Question of the Day. In this particular segment, Shatima and I, as HR professionals, and I think any HR professionals or whatever profession you're in, if we're honest, people call you with those questions or challenges they're dealing with. And so we want to focus on that, really providing solutions for things we deal with on a regular basis, whether somebody's calling us or, another manager's texting us. And so the first one, Shatima, are you ready for the question of the day?
Let's go. Yes.
How should you respond as an employee if you receive a corrective action, a write-up, any of that, and you feel like it's unbiased or some of it's not true or the manager was just mad at you? If somebody called you, your cousin's like, girl, I got wrote up and, this manager tripping. What are you going to say to this person?
So my first question is always, what did you do?
Right.
Or what did they say you did?
Right.
And I'm trying to find the truth in that, right? But definitely we get these questions all the time. I don't think there's a week that goes by that we're not getting something to this degree. But I would ask, what did you do or what are they saying that you did? And then I always ask, there's always accountability, right? So nothing, typically, generally, sometimes is not just made up out of thin air. There is some sort of accountability.
Right.
Did you not speak to the lady when she came in? Is she, have you been mumbling under your breath, making some of those, nonverbal cues to show that maybe you don't like her? She just didn't wake up and think you didn't like her.
So Shatima, a true Leo, she's like, what did you do? Right?
Yes, you did
Where
something.
I'm more along the lines of what they're accusing you of or what they're saying, what do you take accountability for?
Correct.
Or what do you find to be valid in that, write-up? Because we want to separate what is your truth from their truth. Because even though you may not agree, they somehow have come to this with some truth. So Shatima, like, what did you do?
It's true because there's some accountability in that, right? And then I think it's like the podcast we had with Sarah, like fuck your emotions, like remove the emotions.
Yes.
What are they asking you? What are they saying? And self-reflect. how did they come to this conclusions? And sometimes it is all made up, right? Sometimes it is just, there could be a personal vendetta and things of that nature, but more often than not, there's some type of accountability that the employee has. So how do they
handle when there is the personal vendetta happening in this write-up and they can see that? Because that was one of the real situations I dealt with last week. I got a call and there was some vendetta, but to your point, weaving through what truly they did, how do they deal with the vendetta and all of that?
So I think you have to have the facts. I think you have to break down, typically when it's personal, you'll see the emotion in there. You'll see that personal attack. So you have to be able to defend with the facts. So if you're being accused of not participating or not being engaged, that's a good one. You're not engaged. Something feels different. You're just not engaged. Or perhaps your response was a little snarky.
Let's do attendance, because that was pretty common. I know. That's why I said it. She just dealt with attendance. Attendance is really common, okay? Yes. And I'm a new employee. And maybe not new, but I've been here a year. Right. I'm dealing with some attendance stuff now. And this write-up has all of my lates and all of the days I've been absent. But some of it, y'all kind of said was okay.
Yeah.
Right? How do I now
navigate that?
Right up.
So if you're the employee and you're being written up for attendance, I just did this last week. I had to put someone on proactive, progressive, because the attendance, they kept calling out. And we let them slide on a lot of areas. That 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes wasn't being deducted. But essentially, if you're being written up because of attendance, once again, there has to be some accountability there. When are you calling off? Is it a pattern? Are you calling off every Monday because you had a, turn up weekend? Is it Fridays you can't finish the shift? You're always not feeling good, the first Friday of the month after payday?
Yeah.
Because as HR professionals and a good manager, they're going to see those patterns. So I would say that there has to be something corrective. If it's something like you're always late because you're rushing trying to get the kids to school, you can ask for accommodations. You know what?
Yep.
I live 45 minutes away from here. They changed my kids' school schedule. They don't start school till 8. I can't drop them off till 7:50. I'm cutting it really tight. I have always recommended, push that schedule back to an 8:30 start instead of 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Reduce the lunch by 30 minutes.
Yeah. So just so we can really pinpoint on that, because that was huge. And as an HR practitioner, we really push for this, right? Mm-hmm. If your start time's 8 o'clock and the manager's like hounding on you for being 8:10 or 8:05 and you've got a drop off, we are going to ask them to accommodate. Well, have you asked them? Have you talked to them? So Shatima is suggesting maybe asking for a schedule accommodation. Right. One of the things that I feel is important in addition to that accommodation is speaking on during that conversation. Right. A lot of times I find employees are pissed off, like y'all be mad as hell, like they done wrote me up
again,
and you're sitting there, which is OK. Right. When that write-up conversation ends, you can still have your say. Absolutely. There is an employee comment section on write-ups, right? And you don't necessarily have to write it. You can say, hey, I've had some time to process this write-up. Right. And yes, I have been late. However, I'm trying to get my kid to school. Can we see if we can adjust my schedule? And on some of those days, my boss said it was okay when I'm looking at this. Have a voice, right? Yeah. Because when Shatima and I are now looking at should we terminate you, we're going to look at if you had a voice and a response in that. And so I think that's the piece that people don't
absolutely, especially for attendance, because a good HR practitioner is going to want to retain you.
Yes.
So if it's something as simple as just modifying your schedule, even if it's temporarily, sometimes you're in your car and you got to, budget fixing it. So it's just not reliable and it's, you're having issues. I think you have to be honest in a humble way because we don't have to give it to you. Right. But if you're working with me and saying, hey, my car broke over the weekend, 2 weekends ago, so I'm having Joe, my neighbor, my son, take me, and, we're still trying to figure out the timing of that, and it's just been a difficult week. we are going to recommend that we work with that. You know,
That's correct.
Perhaps you can work, you know, hybrid a little bit more, or we change your work from home days or modify.
So when she said we, she is now speaking from the HR practitioner to the manager. Hey, John, if you know, Keisha's been here for a year, you've trained her, she's a good employee, we really think you should try and, you know, work with her schedule. So when she's saying we, this is now where HR is saying, have you tried to accommodate her work schedule before you try to fire somebody? So I think that's one that we get all the time. Oh my God, they wrote me up and it was unfair. So in short, look to see what's factual, you know, what's inaccurate, what's your perception, and then more importantly, how you plan to do better going forward, right? As the employee, yes, I had these challenges, but if we can do X, Y, Z, or I'm ready to be better now, I'm on the next thing.
I think, you know, the biggest thing from an employee standpoint is owning it, right? Not, well, I text you and said I was going to be late. Well, you did. You were still late. You know what I mean? I said drive careful and get here as soon as you can. But you still were late. So own the fact that, you know, that there is a issue. But then this is where I think employees sometimes, you know, don't open up as to the why. And providing the why is definitely going to help your manager as well as HR accommodate, you know, even temporarily. To an extent, I'm one of those, don't give them too much of y'all business, because these people are still human and will, you know, use it against you. There's only so much they need to know, right? For example, my kid's in the hospital or my kid's dealing with an illness, but you don't have to give them, oh my God, we was at the hospital and then my mama came, then, you know, you don't have to give them diagnosis and all of that. No.
So let's dive into another one quick, Shatima. What's the best way for an employee to ask for a raise? I'm ready. I've been working my ass off. But, you know, you may be seeing the manager get mad at other people for asking for a raise or promotion. What should they do in those situations?
I see this often as well, especially when I've managed recruitment teams, because they have exposure to everyone's pay rates a little bit more than maybe other employees. Or, you know, back in the day, you didn't really talk about your pay rates with your peers. Now that's a little more common, they discuss, you know, compensation a little bit more, so it causes some discourse and you want to ask. I think you have to, you know, come with some facts as far as market analysis on what you're looking for. Oftentimes, I feel like people want an increase, but they don't know what they want. They don't know what that number is. They don't know what that role, you know, salary, max and range is. Usually that's a number that, you know, HR will supply. Hey, this is the range and you're in mid-range here. But I find that when people ask for an increase, they don't even know what they want. And so that would be number one. Do a little bit of research internally, you know, see if you can get the range and figure out where you're landing in that range when there was the last time there was an increase for those roles. Because sometimes it's on the HR and the manager's to-do list. We just haven't, you know, we haven't got back to do it. We discuss looking at budgets and pay increases, but we haven't been nudged again to move and execute. And so you could be that person to do that. But do your research. The second thing is you have to be producing.
Well, that ensures you don't sell yourself short, which was part B of this conversation. You may want a promotion, but make sure you're not selling yourself short. So Shatima hit on that. Backdoor it. So you need to make sure you're not, you know what you're asking for and it's worth it. Right.
And I also think, you know, when people are thinking about increases, we stick to our base salary. Sometimes organizations are not able for internal equity and other reasons to increase the salary, but it doesn't mean you can't get a performance bonus or a spot incentive or, you know, even negotiating coming in a sign-on bonus, because that money is taxed and sent through. But when we do our reports, we're still showing your annual salary, you know, that's budgeted in. It's not going to show that $5,000 we paid you in the front. You're still a $75K employee. So I challenge people, you know, there's stock incentives, there's equity in companies depending on your role. There are other ways to get a bump without it, you know, impacting your salary. And in HR, because we have to, at some point, we are reporting out on this. I can't have TJ making $10,000, $20,000 more, and someone in a similar role with maybe more tenure, less tenure, more experience, more responsibility, not being the equity there being off.
Yeah.
But if TJ did a project, if she was on some special project or an audit or implementation, or she did something above and beyond, there are spot incentives, there are bonuses that can be implemented.
And that's where I want to go. I want to start there and back into the bonus piece, because you need to be able to articulate why we should promote you, right? Don't ever feel like because I've done the job so long that that's significant. And while a lot of companies, a lot of leaders will promote people simply based on, oh my God, they've been in this role so long, articulate things that truly show you stood out. Like Shatima said, some projects. Maybe I implemented something new, or, I saved the company money. We found out work receipts is a way to document all of those things, because when I found out, like, oh my God, I got to start tracking all the shit I've done, just so that when I do sit down and say, listen, I'm ready for a raise, I can provide documentation to back that up. Work receipts can help you do that. It's a free app. It will help you organize those things that you put in it, whether it's a manager treating you funny or special projects, and there's some AI in it that will maybe alert you to different things, some compliance issues. So we found that out.
Absolutely. Download it.
But documenting the things you've done is essential, and also articulating them by accident in the hallways, passing your manager, hey, I'm so glad I got through that project last week, but it was great. My team, we handled that, and such and such is done. So be able to do that. But like Shatima said, don't always think monetary raise, all right? Because if you make $50,000 a year and you get 3%, what is that, like $1,500?
Right.
$1,500 throughout 12 months, throughout 26 or 24 pay periods. That's not a lot of money. But if they say to us, look, I can't get you a raise, Shatima, but I can give you a $5,000 bonus, you literally have gotten more than that 3% raise. Now, yes, the raise is year over year, but that $5,000 is now. It's something you and your family can use right now. So don't just think salary. If they say no, don't stand down, right?
No, for sure, because really the salary is something that, when you get your W-2, it's going to show that $5,000 increase. So if you're trying to finance a car, buy a house, or do those things, your salary did increase that year, right?
Yep.
Your net income increased by that $5,000 as opposed to not having it on there as well. And so if you're looking at, like I said, financing things, or even showing how much you made, that spot incentive, that bonus does play a role in that overall end of the year income.
And last one, microaggressions. How can you spot and address microaggressions or subtle discriminations at work without putting your job at risk? And I want to start with microaggressions, again, are subtle insults that are intended to be unknown to the person, but are most intended for people of color, right? Black people are always late, or, oh my God, you're pretty articulate for a black person, or all black people look alike. While that person may not have intended to be offensive, it's offensive. And so we see microaggressions at work all the time. Shatima, how should employees address and spot microaggressions without feeling like they're going to be subjected to retaliation?
I'm going to have to default that one to you, because my Leo personality is such, I'm going to just call it out. And as an HR professional, I must still just call it out. And I would probably recommend you too, only because I've also experienced those. So my tolerance for it is different. And so, I know I had my hair braided not too long ago, and there was something I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't touch, don't do that. We're not discussing that. So I don't know if I'm the most polished in responding to the masses there, because I'm going to tell you to call it out and stop it. I'm more of a nip it in the bud right there, have you in that uncomfortable space. And I don't feel or maybe I'm exhausted in teaching you on why you should not. And I know that we vary a little bit in that response of, teaching you so I'm not going to teach you why you shouldn't be touching my hair and why that's a microaggression. And that little snarky little jab is offensive. I'm probably not going to spend the time to teach. So I'll let you answer that.
I want to talk to the employee, not the offender. Right? Yeah. Because oftentimes we as employees have to deal with microaggressions. And I particularly remember an employee run into my office saying, one of my coworkers said me and the new guy look alike because we're both black and we both have bald heads. And he was really, really upset, right? And she didn't think, what? They do look alike. And I'm looking at them and they're two black gentlemen who look nothing alike. So while their intentions is not maybe to be offensive, what my first suggestion is to handle it in the moment. Sometimes they're super subtle, right? You may find somebody continually messing up your name. My name is Twana Yvonne. People can't say that, all right? And so I just chop it all off and I allow people to call me TJ. But at first, I would constantly correct people like Tawana, And so the first suggestion is to address it in the moment, right? And you can do that subtly. If it's something like they're getting your name incorrect, my name is, again, Shatima. No, it's really simple. It's pronounced, right? Address it in the moment is one of the best ways to do it. If you don't think that's appropriate, it's a meeting, they're continually doing it, address it privately after the fact, all right? A lot of times we do nothing, right? And then it continually happens and the offenders get away with it. So either address it in the moment, address it privately, and start documenting. If you really feel like it's getting out of hand, again, I gave y'all work receipts. It's a free app. Start documenting the shit because then you may need to start escalating it. And at the point of escalation, you can say, I've had this conversation with this person. And you don't have to teach them what a microaggression is. You can simply correct them on whatever the action is in a non-offensive way. So that's my suggestion. Microaggressions can be tricky. They are exhausting to people of color. But they happen, and I need HR practitioners and leaders alike to understand that. So
for sure,
I think it's a good way to end this episode, Shatima. It's been really a good episode 1, season 2.
Absolutely. Asking questions, answering the questions for the good people.
It almost feels panelish, but we get to do it in our natural, organic way. Because a lot of times in those conversations, I may not throw in but at least we can have that. Last but not least, I really wanted to share with Shatima one of my favorite new products. I'm going to share with y'all too. It is a phenomenal lip gloss. It's called Tatcha. And of course, the packaging is cute. I ain't even show y'all the cuteness yet. My favorite thing about this, Shatima, though, is that chapstick and all of that, you either get moisture or shine. Yeah. And I need both, right? Yeah, so either I'm doing a chapstick with a Carmex. And so oftentimes I don't get both. I walked into Ulta I just need both. Right. And so Tatcha provides both. It gives good shine and moisture. But my favorite part, and Shatima love packaging. Wait till she see this.
Oh my goodness.
This little paddle on top, okay?
I love that.
So the ladies with the nails, y'all ain't got to even dig your nails in here. You just scoot, and you really only need a little bit. I promise. It's good and slippery. And I put it over
Why didn't anybody ever think of that before?
I know. Nobody.
That makes so much sense.
That's why I was like, you going to love this from Shatima.
Love that.
So it's called Tatcha. Let me put the top back on.
That's the reason why sometimes I don't buy the palms that because you don't want to put your hands in there. You don't want to put your nails in there and get it underneath your nail. Look at that.
I mean, ain't it cute? So this is my new favorite product. Again, it's Tatcha. I got mine at Ulta.
Kissy lip mask.
Girl, and it feels so good. Cute. I put it under my lips color and sometimes even to freshen my lip, I'll just put it right on top. So it's called Tatcha, y'all. Look, Shatima's so
Look at
stuck.
that. I know. I
Girl,
love this.
I
I love
told
a good
you.
idea.
I told you
I
was
don't
gonna
know why
love
we
this
didn't think of
product.
this.
Yes, put some on your lips. Now you done put it on there.
I know I did.
So go ahead. But before you do that, tell the people where they can find you.
At Tatcha.
See, look at that
in
shine.
Ulta, in the Tatcha line, at Ulta. That's where I will be. I don't know if we have other flavors or new sticks. If I can buy these on Amazon as reusables, but you can find me at where am I?
Look,
you can find
I don't
me
even
at
know
Procure
after
Talent
Tatcha.
Management Group. I am the CEO and founder. We're on all the social media platforms and personally at Lady Gresham _11.
And of course, I want to give a shout out
so
to
cute.
our sponsor, the Black HR Society, for making a meaningful difference in the lives of Black HR professionals and also the community. We've been doing a lot of work in the community, helping with resumes and job locations. So we're very employee friendly. You can reach out to the Black HR Society at askhr@theblackHRsociety.com. And again, on all platforms, theblackHRsociety.com. You can reach me, TJ Speaks, on every platform. Your girl is out here outside in these social streets. So on every platform, I am TJ Speaks. If you would love to be a guest or a sponsor for the Let's Talk About It podcast, you can reach out to us, TJ at WeWannaTalkAboutIt.com, because we do. We want to talk about it with you. And we'll see you back next time. Bye-bye.